I think the biggest thing I want to do is change that stigma. I want women in construction. I want women in the trades. I want women in operations. I want to make the industry a place that they feel safe to work
Mm.
and that they feel like they're equals. I don't want having a woman on your team to be a diversity point. I want it to be the standard.
Ooh, that is Miss Kate Gause, construction superstar, also the social media rock star for the TCCI Construction Career Day. I got to meet her several years ago when she was coming up at Construction Careers Academy and super enthused that she's blazed the path that she's living right now and enjoying what seems to be a meaningful career in the construction industry, working for a trade. Um, which, of course, for me, I'm biased and love to see superhuman beings coming onto the trade partner side of the business. We have a little fun reminiscing on what that first contact was like and reflecting on how far she's come. She shares about the challenges for women and opportunities for women in the construction industry and what it was like for her to compete and how she's carried those lessons forward. We also talk about Ricky Ribeye. Uh, if you get that one, let us know in the comments. And we're going to give a shout out to the patrons out there. You know who you are that have contributed dollars. They're putting money on this bad boy to help us keep operating. Love that y'all are giving us your time and going the extra mile to giving us some cash to keep the boat afloat, baby. To the rest of the L&M family, we love you. If you're new here, just know that we're here to enhance the image of careers in the trades, and we'd love for you to jump on board and help us continue doing that. And so I don't just keep talking and put y'all to sleep. We're going to get back to the show. Here we go with Miss Kate Gause. What's going on, L&M family? I got a special, like super special guest up here with me today. We got Miss Kate Gause, who I think, Kate, first contact between you and I, you were what, a junior in high school?
I think that's right.
Oh, which for some people it wasn't creepy. It wasn't anything like that. It was super awesome. I was actually bragging to some friends this morning that I was going to be interviewing you, um, and telling them kind of the history of when you first broke my heart, Kate. Do you remember that?
I think I do. I think I do. But I think you got some good people out of it though.
We did. We absolutely did. Um, so, Kate, you're in the construction industry. Is that correct?
I am. Yep.
Okay. And when you and I first made contact, you were in high school. You're at Construction Careers Academy,
Yes.
and you had decided to go. Can you tell us a little bit about that school and why
Yeah.
you decided to go there?
Yeah. Yeah. So I for people who don't know what a magnet school is, it's basically a I like to call it a specialized high school where they have kind of specialties that you can focus on. So there are some for like the medical field, there are some for engineering, there are some for construction. I mean, there are all kinds and they're becoming really, really big. But at the time when I went to school, when I was going to high school, so back when I was in middle school in the 8th grade, there were all these schools that came and did these presentations. And so O'Connor, O'Connor has ag. Um, and they were coming in and I was supposed to go to O'Connor, so I kind of thought, oh, I'll just do the ag thing. I'm already supposed to go here. It's 5 minutes from my house, so I could literally walk if I had to, which I never would have, mind you. I never would have, but I could, and I was like so excited to go to this high school where it was in my mind, everybody who went there was so cool. But then all these high schools came and they did kind of presentations. They showed us videos on what they do. And at the time, I was a year ahead in math. So I thought I was really good at math. I was like, this is it. I'm going to have, a STEM degree. I'm really smart. I can be an engineer. And my parents were telling me, "Yeah, you can make a ton of money." And I was like, "Cha-ching, like
Yes.
I'm going to be rich. I'm going to do
Baller.
engineering." Exactly. So there was one school that was engineering, like that was their thing, engineering focused. And then there was CCA that had engineering, but then they also had construction management, architecture, trade type things. So when I ended up applying and getting, I actually didn't get in. So it's a lottery system. So they put all these kids' names who have applied into this hat so that it's fair, and then pull it out, and then, just see who gets in basically. And as long as you meet the criteria, I mean, everybody has the same chance to get in.
Mm.
So I applied to this school. I applied to both of the engineering ones because I thought, this is my future. And I guess what, I was 13 and I thought, yep, this is it. I'm 13 years old. I'm ready to go to college. I'm ready to just do what I need to do to be rich. And so I applied to both. I got into the engineering only school, and I don't know, something just didn't feel right about it. I don't know if it was just the school itself, or that maybe I didn't want to limit myself with engineering only. I don't know what it was. It just didn't feel right. So I ended up turning it down. I thought I was going to go to O'Connor. My parents and I had gone to all the ag presentations. I had put a down payment on a goat. I was going to have a goat. I
A
was going to have
goat.
a goat.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I was already thinking of names, and then I got a letter in the mail saying that I got into CCA. And I felt bad because we had just put all this money down on a goat,
Hmm.
and I wasn't going to get to have the goat. But my parents basically told me, whatever, some other kid will take the goat. It doesn't matter. If this is where you feel like you need to go, you need to go. So they were always very supportive. I was nervous because I wasn't going to know anybody at this school. I had gone to middle school with all of my friends for, I guess, the 3 years that you go to middle school. But I had been going to school with the same people for, since elementary school. And now I'm going to this school on the other side of town that I couldn't take the bus for. Well, you can take the bus, but they have, different spots for,
Right.
because it's far, they can't come to every single neighborhood. So, because I wasn't zoned for this school, I really didn't know anybody.
Mm.
And it was cool because I got to meet all these new people. I kind of got to, restart, but I ended up, I guess by accident, in the construction management program at
Mm.
this high school. And I thought, oh, I'll just change. Like, they pretty much told us when we got there that we could, if we didn't like what we were doing, that we could change and go into the other one. And the first year, everybody takes the same class anyway. So it doesn't really matter what your strand is until the second year when you really start getting into it. So I had gone, I had decided, I'll just stay and just see, maybe this, happened for a reason,
Yeah.
or maybe it was just a fluke and I just need to change into engineering. Um, but hindsight, it was probably one of the best things that had happened to me because I ended up really loving construction. I really loved, getting to build things and getting to see it through. And once I started working in the industry, I mean, I really kind of fell in love with it, and getting to hear from everybody who worked in construction, who loved their jobs, who, oh, I didn't want to retire, but, now I get to teach. So, I didn't have to retire, but I wanted to so that I could, breed a new generation of construction people. So, I don't know. At the time, the high school seemed silly because I was kind of like, how am I 13 years old
Yeah.
deciding what I'm going to do? But my parents told me, they were always like, well, if you don't like it, that's just something that you don't have to do.
Hmm.
And so I think it really gave me a leg up when I went to college, that I already knew what I wanted to do, and I knew what school was best for that. And I went to Texas A&M and I got my degree in construction science, and I loved it. And now I have a job that I really love. And so for people who don't go to those magnet schools, or go and don't like what they're doing, I mean, it's it's one thing to check off your list of maybes,
Mm.
but in the grand scheme of things, there's a million jobs and a million different majors that you can choose from. I'm so lucky that I ended up in the construction management program. It seems
Oh.
like an absolute accident looking back on it, but worked out.
Yeah, I think the industry's lucky too for you having landed in that. I mean, you covered a couple of important points. I mean, eighth grade, right? Like now there's all this pressure or this type of thinking that I've got to select my strand to go to the right high school, to go to the right college, to start my right career. And I think you said it perfectly. Like it may not be the right choice in eighth grade. And
Right.
your parents supported you and said, it's okay, because then at least you know what you don't want to do.
Exactly, exactly.
like, like,
Versus, I mean, kids who go to a normal high school, it's kind of like, okay, well, I didn't really specialize in, anything.
mhm,
Kids who think they want to do psychology, well, there's like one or two classes at every high school
yep.
that are fun, of course. So everybody's like, yeah, this is it. This is what I want to do. When, in the grand scheme of things, that one class was probably the most exciting stuff that you're going to learn about it. And it doesn't get better from here.
Totally. We've interviewed like Shannon Tomasco. She was going into accounting. Um, we've had several people on the show that, or Henry Nutt also, who just published a book. Shout out to Henry.
Oh,
Congratulations on the book. Who was going down a different path. I think he was going down the mechanical engineering path, um, and discovered he entered the trades as a sheet metal worker. He's like, oh my God, like this. And he's had a tremendous impact on the industry as a result of discovering what he didn't want to do. Right.
mm,
And I think that's it. We don't, I mean, heck, man, I'm still trying to figure it out. But the pressure or fear that comes with this decision is going to dictate the rest of my life. That's a
right.
false problem. Like that's not real. You're enjoying your work and your career, and you're like, yeah, it just kind of happened by accident.
Yeah.
like,
Well, and I think a big part about it too is like we really push college on
mhm,
kids. And I mean, college is so expensive, especially if you go to a major university, that if you have to change majors or you don't pick the right thing, I mean, it really sets you back. It sets you back monetarily. It takes away however many semesters that you were in this wrong major. I mean, there there are so many things that I think people just will stick it out and
mhm,
think, well, when I start working, it'll be fine. And it's not. And they don't like their job and they don't like what they're doing. But I think another thing that I've been noticing recently is that I mean, college and after college, it doesn't dictate what you do. I've met so many people in construction where they're like, yeah, I was an accountant, but here I am. Or, I used to work at Walmart's. I used to be in the military, and now here I am in construction, and I love my job and I'm good at it. I mean, I think it's just one of those, if you've got the personality, if you've got some common sense, if you're a good learner, you can do any job.
mhm. Yeah. And what's important is that it's meaningful and fulfilling work. And
Right.
also that the people don't stink, right? When you work with
Right.
stinky people, that ain't fun. It don't matter what kind of work you're doing. So Construction Careers Academy, amazing program, but it wasn't just book stuff, right?
No.
Like what other cool stuff did y'all do over there?
So I think it was either right before I went to CCA or maybe it was my freshman year, but I think one of the first things I really saw them do was like the tiny houses
Hmm.
where I mean that's exactly what it is. It's a tiny house. It's small, but they're able to give it a ton of storage and a place to sleep and a kitchen and a bathroom in this small square. And I mean, that was so cool to me that these high school students were building that. And then I think my freshman year, they did container homes,
Mm.
which I mean, that was a huge thing back then, was
Yes.
taking those shipping containers and building, houses out of them. And I ended up getting really involved. So I think they called them senior builds. I think that was kind of the thing, was that it was for the senior class. They kind of did the framework and the very early stuff junior year, end of junior year. And then when they come back from the summer, that's when we start, finishing it out and getting it ready for the parade of homes, where everybody gets to kind of come look and see what you've done. So I ended up getting really, really involved and going to a lot of kind of the volunteer days where, it would be Saturdays that we'd come out and we'd work on the houses. And that is not the kind of thing that I ever would have seen myself doing. Like spending my Saturday waking up early, which I'm not a morning person, and it was even worse back in high school. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
yeah, if I could sleep in, I'm sleeping in. If it's a choice, I'm deciding to stay in the bed asleep.
Yes.
But I ended up, volunteering on all these Saturdays, going to help build with these people I don't know, hanging out with like the administration, all these teachers that I did not have. And it ended up being, a great experience. And I feel like it really set me ahead in my career, that I knew how to do actual construction. And even
Yeah.
if it was residential and it was small scale, like, no, I haven't built a whole house, but I did build something that somebody lives in. So,
Yes.
and those tiny houses, they have everything that a normal sized house would have. So it's kind of like, I don't know. I learned a lot and I got a lot of background information that has helped me in everything that I've done so far.
Yes. And so for clarity for the L&M family out there that's trying to, she's saying tiny home, and we're not talking like a dollhouse. We're
Right.
talking like an RV, like a recreational home that's on a trailer that people buy. The school auctions them off to raise funds to keep this amazing program going. It's got fully functional plumbing, HVAC, really nice. I mean, it's not a camping space, it's a
Right.
living space.
Right.
And the students, y'all design it, y'all plan it out, y'all execute all, like y'all, they're all fully inspected and permitted by the city. Like, how accurate am I so far, Kate?
No, you're spot on. You're spot on. So we did get a lot of help from our instructors, I will say that. Sometimes I remember being in high school kind of explaining it to a lot of like the people who would come. We'd have all these adults come to the parade of homes where they'd come and look at it and they'd be like, "So, what is this?" And I'm kind of like, "How'd you get here? Like you're on a high school campus. You're looking at all these tiny homes. There's a million high schoolers like walking around. How did you get here and you don't know what's going on?"
Like, come
Like,
on, man.
I'm like, obviously me and all these other, 16-year-olds built this. So
Hmm.
obviously, but it's kind of hard to, really digest that. I was 16 years old building, places
Yeah.
that people live right now.
Yes.
But I always
Yes.
had to tell people, they'd be like, I don't think I would want to live somewhere like that. And I'm like, okay, no, we have, industry professionals that are now our teachers and they've guided us every step of the way. I'm like, it's legit, I promise.
It is totally legit. And you talked about the building and working with people you didn't know, working with adults, working with administrators, and that was what I mean. You know this, but you and that whole program like blew my mind and helped me see things in a totally different way. Because at that period in time, I was working with TD Industries, and one of my responsibilities was uh, finding manpower, assigning manpower to all of our projects in commercial construction. And the problem was, which is still there and it keeps getting bigger, is there's not enough people.
Right.
And so we're struggling, crawling, scratching for people to just do the work. And then I got involved on the advisory council for CCA, and I started seeing what, and I'm like, oh my God, like not only are y'all graduating with like an OSHA 10 certification and some foundational knowledge, it's more than foundational knowledge. You have experience building and the communication skills and the planning skills and the coordination skills. Like all of that is extremely valuable. And so that's what's happening. And like you said, 16-year-olds, right? Like,
Yeah,
everybody with their hoodies and kind of chilling. And I'm
right.
like, y'all did that? Like, amazing. And then I got to see you competing at the TCCI event, which
If you
this is
haven't
kind of,
signed up, sign up for a booth.
there you go, right? We need sponsors to sign up for the Texas Construction Careers Initiative. We have
Yep.
an annual event. We went virtual last year. We're planning to go live this year, April 6th in San Antonio, Texas. And it's really, I don't know if this has landed with you yet, Kate, but for me, it has. I met you as a result of you competing on one of the builds at that event, and
Mhm.
now you're serving on the committee.
Right.
How does that feel for you, Kate?
It's it's crazy to think about, and I think it's going to be even crazier when I'm there because I don't think I realized kind of how far removed I am from, that. I feel like it was yesterday, but when I think about it, I just spent the last 3.5 years in college. And then what, 1 year, 2 years before that was when I was actually in the competitions. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah.
And it feels like it's kind of come full circle, and I can't wait to see everybody else compete, and it's kind of crazy to be, setting up for it, and being the social media chair. I've been posting all these. I'm looking through pictures to post, and I'm like, well, I can't post that one. I'm in that one.
Oh,
And I'm
come
like,
on.
I'm like, I'll be really excited to see, who all competes.
Oh
So,
man, I can't wait. I'm super, super excited. And I mean, also CCA is a great program.
right.
We got to interview Miss Krista Ackles, who's like a rock star,
Amazing. Love her
amazing. I
so
mean,
much.
oh God, she's had such an impact on so many young lives in supporting them and nurturing them and challenging them through the into the industry.
Right.
Um,
Right.
Now, when I saw y'all compete, there was, I think it was like 8 schools,
Mm-hmm.
and
Right.
you were on the team, the CCA team, that was comprised of only ladies. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yep, that's right.
So I'm watching y'all work, and I'm just blown away. Like, I'm watching all the students work, but you and your team, it appeared to me as if y'all had been working together for a few years, had a straight up plan who's responsible for what and who's going to, like, y'all were framing out the walls, putting sheetrock on it, roughing in electrical, just a small
Mhm.
little cubicle, right? Like a little bathroom, roughing in a toilet and I think a lavatory even.
Mhm.
Um, and y'all were just like clicking away. And then I found out like y'all hadn't really practiced together.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of hard to remember because I did it twice, so I'm like,
Oh,
which
that's right.
time was which? Right. I'm like, which time am I thinking about? But we had a couple like practices where they were like, here are the plans, these are the rules, these are the tools that you get, and this is your team. So talk it out, decide, who's going to do what. And it was really helpful because we did have. So we had, I think, two just construction carpentry, which was me and one of the other girls, and then we had an electrician who was in the or I guess not an electrician, but a girl in the electrical strand, and then a girl in the plumbing strand. And so we kind of had our game plan to begin with, where it was like, okay, obviously you're going to do the electrical stuff, and obviously you're going to
Right.
do the plumbing stuff, but trying to get the timing of all of it
Mm,
right, so that
yes.
everything. I mean, because of course you can't really do electrical or plumbing when there's not walls there to do them on.
Yes.
And so it was kind of like, how can we do this the fastest, and who's gonna do what? And so I mean, we all helped each other out. We had, the plumbing girl helping with drywall. We had, me helping with electrical, and I should not be helping with electrical. I mean, and it was kind of crazy because I never really saw us at a disadvantage until we had to do like a roof, until I was up on the ladder with my hard hat on, of course, with all my safety gear, of course, with the roof that we had just built kind of resting on my head. that I could not hold it up over my head to put it in the right spot. And mind you, the next year there were no roofs.
Oh,
We didn't put drywall on it, so we only had the framing. So of course it was like, 2 pounds.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I mean, it was heavy, and I was like, okay, well, I guess that's kind of nice of them to not require that anymore. But all I could think about the next year when they were like, yeah, no drywall on the ceiling, I was like, that was me.
Yep, yep.
That was me. So, you're welcome everyone for making it easier, but
Everybody owes Kate a taco, a breakfast taco for
exactly,
getting the
exactly.
roof
If you
out
see
of
me
there.
at the event, you need to bring me some breakfast or a snack or something good.
Yeah, I
But
love it.
yeah, I mean, we had only practiced together a couple times, and we never had, I don't think we ever had a straight through practice where we just started and got going, because I mean, we only had a class period or 2 class periods where we could come in and get working together. And for a lot of the girls, it wasn't at the same time.
Mhm.
So it was, before school, during lunch, after school, where we tried to meet up. But of course, everybody's got their own extracurriculars going on, clubs, classwork, homework. It wasn't where we could just, go meet up every day,
Yep.
like in college where you have one class maybe in the morning and then that's it the rest of the day where you don't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, we had only met a couple times, but I think that our drive to just kind of prove ourselves to everyone just made us click.
Mm.
And I think that I feel like we were really able to help each other out and not get stressed out about it, because while we knew kind of everybody was watching, waiting for us to mess up, we also knew the advantage that we had kind of working together, having each other, and then, having a whole team of administrators and people who knew
Mhm.
that, we had it. So I think that, the support of all the teachers, and then I think a whole bunch of our classmates came, which I think that's when it got nerve-wracking for me. Was I was like, my teachers can watch me mess up, they grade my papers, like they know. But as soon as other students start rolling in that I know, I'm like, "Ew."
They're gonna be
But
hard on you now.
yeah, exactly, exactly. I'm like, now I
Mhm.
have to do even better. But
Mhm.
it really, I mean, it worked out. There were a lot of other teams that were really nice to us. And then there were, and nice to us to our advantage. Like, yeah, you can use the saw first. And we're like, oh, thanks. It's so heavy.
Yeah.
And like, kind of, I think we had one miter saw that or maybe two, but all the teams kind of had to share it with them. And
Yeah.
we didn't have to cut a lot on it, but if you had to wait in line, that's time that you're losing
Yes.
during a timed competition. And so, when they were being nice, and they were, probably being nice to be like, yeah, I'm that guy. I'm nice
Mm.
to you. You need the
Mm.
help. I mean, it was helping us out. I'm not gonna lie, it was
Yeah.
helping us out. There were some really nice people, and then there were some not very nice people. But that's in everything. They were probably mean
Exactly.
to everybody in the competition, and they weren't discriminating against us. They were being mean to us too. So that's nice.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, right? Everything you just described, I'm sitting here watching these, high school students compete and like running tools, coordinating, organizing, sharing, fighting, like
Mhm.
making it happen. And that is what happens on the job site. And now I'm like, okay, there's some highly skilled students out here that I know can bring value to the company. And I don't care that they're in carpentry or construction, man, or like
Mhm.
it doesn't matter. The skills that I need is those communication skills, the coordination skills, the teamwork, helping each
Right.
other out. Like that's and you knew how to use the tools. It's like, okay, I went back to the office. I'm like, we got to do something. We ended up putting together an internship program for high school students between their the summer between their junior and their senior year. And then ideally they would come back to work with TD full time. And Kate, you were the first one on. I said, I need to talk to Kate. I need to see if we can get her on. And you chose a different internship, and I'm glad because to see now you've completed your degree and you're doing a job that you clearly you knew you had an idea of what you wanted to do, and you followed that. So congratulations. It did, it did sting a little bit, but to your point, we got some amazing students. We ended up oh my God, I just forgot her name. Uh,
Samantha?
yes, Samantha Dvorak. She was,
Yeah.
my goodness, everybody was fighting over her because she was such an amazing student. And when I say student, I mean she just wanted to learn.
Right.
And she did not, like, she was not okay with standing around. She was like, give me something to do, teach me how to do this and let me do it. And man, the teams out there, they taught her a bunch. Jose, I think Jose Moreno,
Mhm.
I'm not sure if he's still with TD, but I know last time I talked to him, he was with TD. So
Nice.
he's working to become a master plumber. That was his
Mhm.
goal, and he's working in that direction. He made that commitment in high school when I interviewed him during mock interviews. I'm like,
Mhm.
so my point in all of that is there are programs out there that do this. You know, some people are going to say there's not enough of them. I'll agree with that. But there are some that are doing really amazing things, and you're a phenomenal example of that. And also, I love to do this to all the employers out there. You think that these kids, you don't have time to babysit them. You're selling yourself short. You got to
Right.
get out to these CTE programs. They're all over the country now. Get connected, do some service, do some resume writing with them, do some mock interviews, get connected, get to know the students, and they will bring value to your company because this myth that kids nowadays don't want to work, that ain't true. Like
Right.
nobody
They
wants
don't know how. They don't know how
exactly.
to get in.
That's it. They don't know
And
how to
and I
get in.
think that, I was really lucky to go to a school where everything was a possibility.
Mm.
Nothing was a bad idea. Any job or future career that you wanted, I mean, it was possible. And they always made that seem like it was possible and nothing was a bad idea. And then it was okay to not want to go to college. I think that that's something that we don't push enough, especially at these normal high schools where they don't do magnet programs, that it's always like, well, where are you applying to college? And then, in English classes, when they make you as an assignment, write the essays to get into college. I mean, we're completely forgetting about a whole set of people who don't want to go to college, and that's okay. Well, it's not okay that we're forgetting about them, but that's okay that they don't want to go to college. They need
Yes.
to know, the opportunities for them, and I think that just as a society, we haven't done a great job at saying, look at all the possibilities. Look at all the things that you don't have to go to college to do, and they pay well, or it's a good job, or if you start after you graduate, you can work your way up fairly quickly if you're a good learner. And I think that that is something that kids fresh out of high school that have gone to these programs, even not gone, but the ones who've gone, who know that it's a possibility for them, that getting started soon kind of sets you apart and puts you ahead of the curve. And you have all this time to learn. That's something that has really been hitting me recently, is that I'm so young. And I think part of it is because I grew up with parents who went to college. My dad worked at the same company for a very long time. I thought I graduate and I get a job and that's where I have to be, and that there
Mm.
is no jumping around. But I mean, if something's not working for you, there's a million other companies who need labor, who need, managers, who need people to work.
Yes.
And I think
Yes.
that, that's something that we just really aren't telling, really anybody.
Yep. Yeah, with the common thinking out there is there's only one path, right? You got to do this to start a career, to build a career. And I mean, that's part of the reason behind this podcast is to enhance the image of the trades and help people become aware of the opportunities that are out there, one, and two, once the parents and some educators catch wind of the podcast, I'm hoping that they'll get a different view of construction workers
Mhm.
because they're all amazing. They're all doing amazing things. I mean, you're a phenomenal example. Now you're back, you're giving back to the school you went to, you're giving back to the community by being on the TCCI Rockstar Planning Committee. Um, launched your career. So thank you for continuing to be an example for me. Like I'm always like, there's when give me a success story. Well, let me tell you about Kate. Let me tell you about Samantha. Let me tell you about Jose. Because y'all you're doing it, and you started so long ago. And also the administrators that made the investment to put that program together, and Miss Krista for continuing to make that thing the magical situation that it is. So you bought a goat. Did you ever name the goat?
I didn't. I didn't
No?
come up with a good one. I did decide, see, it starts with a goat, but I was like, after the goat, I'm gonna get, the cow that they let you, or the steer when they let you have a
Mm,
steer, because I don't think they let you start with that. But I had already been planning my steer, and I was like, he's gonna be Ricky Ribeye,
Ricky Ribot.
and that's gonna be his name. So I never came up with a goat, but I was thinking very far in advance. So yeah,
Nice.
no goat names, but
No goats, but
I
Ricky
didn't get.
Ribot.
Yep.
I love it. So went from the goat to ag to CCA. Now you got a degree in construction science. Now you're working full time out there in the industry. Um, you and I had a conversation about your experience in university
Mhm.
and something around perfection and do you remember that conversation?
I do. And I also remember after feeling like I had been really mean. Not to you, but just, about some people who probably need somebody to be mean to them, but,
Yeah.
in the nicest way possible, but yes, I do.
So, you know, you've been on the earth, you've got a lot of experience, and some people may argue that you're, too young. And I wish people would say that about me first, but it used to bug me when people would say, "Oh, that's really not that big a deal." Like, man, it's the biggest deal I've ever dealt with right now, so it's absolutely a big deal. And so, with that, in your time on the earth, what is a significant learning that you've had as a result of a pretty big misstep?
I I don't know if I've had any big missteps, but I
Okay,
do know that I have missteps every single day. And I
nice.
have these, not, I guess they're huge ideas that, everybody's heard, everybody knows about, I think kind of one of the biggest ones for me is
All right, y'all. We got a bit of a change here. Yes, I'm breaking up the flow, and that's not going to change. It's going to stay the same. But the L&M family has spoken out, and we've heard you loud and clear. What we are doing is the backstage passes, these clips that you're not going to be able to listen to on this audio version, are now going to be available to everybody on our YouTube channel. So hit up our YouTube channel, subscribe, follow, like, hit all the buttons, and give yourself a little bit of a learnings and missteps marathon and catch up on all the outtakes. We want to hear your comments and we want to know what you're learning from these things because all of our guests have shared some pretty intimate missteps and have had some pretty profound learnings. And we hope that you can take that and apply that going forward and even teach it to your people, the people you care about. So that is going to be the deal going forward. Thank you for supporting us and back to the show.
I wish it wasn't that way. We have a long way to go. I know whenever I see that, um, I do not hesitate to say, "Timeout, bro." Like, no, we're not playing by different rules. We're all playing the same game, and let's treat people. Let's honor this woman accordingly, and
right,
get that garbage out of your head because it ain't cool.
right. And
Um,
I feel so lucky that I haven't actually had to work with anyone like that. I mean, I've worked
yeah,
in all these different internships, I've worked for all these different GCs, and no one has ever treated me that way or given me a reason to think that I've worked with. I
mm,
think the people who have that the biggest notion of, women whatever, I think that they either don't work in the industry and they're, just some Joe Blow on the street who Just, you know,
Yep. Yep.
that's just what he thinks. And then there are the people who have been in the industry for a very, very long time who are about to retire anyway. So,
Yeah.
I mean, just stick it out, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I felt so lucky that I haven't had anyone that I've had to work with directly make me feel that way. I think the only person making me feel that way, like I can't ask questions, is me.
Mm. Oh.
And right, and that's been tough because, you know, it used to be easy for me to be like, "Oh, well, you know, I can't ask questions because then I'll be embarrassed and then I'm the girl who obviously doesn't know anything." But everyone that I've worked with has made it such an easy environment for me to ask questions. It's just me.
Mm. That is powerful, Kate. Oh man. L&M family members, I bet you Kate ain't the only one that is her worst oppressor.
Right.
Oh man, that's solid stuff, Miss Kate. Um, so any shout outs you want to give to any of your people out there?
Um, I love my job. I'm working at ISEC. I love my job. They're hiring, so if you guys need a job, I love my job. Maybe you'll love your job. You know, we need pretty much everybody, so, you know, come love
Yeah.
your job. Um, you know, I don't think Keisha listens to this, but I learned so much from Keisha Planbeck. I worked with her at Skanska for 8 months last year, and she taught me so much, but she also set my expectations very, very high for other people, and it has not always, I don't always see, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't always have GCs like her running your job.
Mm.
You have,
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. Yes.
Yeah, no, she was amazing and I learned so much from her. Um, but you know, yeah, set my expectations way too high for some of the RFIs that I would read. I mean, just, you know, that's just how it is, I think. Um,
Yes. Yes.
I'll shout my parents out and my family for always supporting me and for, you know, not giving me a dirty look when I said I might want to go into construction, you know, despite
Yes.
the stereotypes and the notions that I think a lot of us, or not us, but, you know, a lot of people have. Um, yeah, I mean, CCA, Miss Ackles, she definitely showed me that women can be in construction
Oh yeah.
and can do it better. So, I mean, she rocked. She was very, you know, helpful in me seeing that. And, you know, was always involved and wanting to get the girls involved. So, I mean, you know, everybody, thankful to everybody.
Yes, that's amazing. I think um, we talked about recognizing the administrators and the teachers that are giving back, right? Teaching
Mhm.
with CTE programs and so forth. Super important, a critical element of our industry to continue to grow. And you mentioned your parents, because I do remember speaking with your mom, and I'm
Mhm.
like, how do you feel about this? She's like, well, I'm a little nervous, but that's what she wants to do. And it looks like she's having so much fun. And like, we don't talk about this enough, because I know my mom, when she was saying, Mijo's going to be a plumber,
Mhm.
or he's in plumbing, there were family members that were like, and you're okay with that? Like, you're all right with him wasting his
Mhm.
potential? Why doesn't he want more for himself? And this
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And so the parents that are out there supporting and guiding their young students, their children, and breathing confidence into them about
Mhm.
their choice of making a career in the industry, we gotta shout them out, right? Like, because that's
Right,
a
right.
big deal in their circles. Parents can be, what's the word?
I can think of a
Patty?
lot, but I don't know if I'm allowed to say them.
Yeah, let's not say them. But there are some parents, they're just nasty about things, right?
Right,
Like,
right. Well, and I mean, I think it's, you know, the stereotypes and what we see on TV. I mean, and of course, there are, you know, there are people in every industry who are nasty and who are not good people and who are gross and who, you know, you just don't want to associate yourself with. But that's every single industry. I
yes.
just think that, you know, we see it the most when construction is depicted. I've
Right.
met so many people who don't meet that stereotype, and when you talk to
Yes.
them and they're like, "Oh yeah, I'm an electrician." And it's like, I never would have guessed that. But, that's me making those same stereotypes in my head, even though I work in that industry. I mean, I think that we just kind of need to stop that and to show people that it is a good job. Being a plumber is a good job, or an electrician, or HVAC, or carpenter. I mean, they're good jobs, and what would any of those haters who are like, you want him to waste his potential? I mean, what would they do if their plumbing stopped working? If their sink got clogged and they couldn't unclog it? What are they going to do? Nothing.
You're exactly right. During Snowvid last year,
Hmm.
um, I was reminded of how many friends I had.
Right.
Like, hey, my plumbing, what do
Hey.
I do? Like, hey, man, this is like, don't count on me, because if you need plumbing help, it's going to take me 6 to 18 months to actually get there and do it.
Right.
But I can guide you, give you some
Hmm.
tips and ideas to handle it. But you're 100% correct. Like, there is a stigma out there. There's this image that people have, and in some cases, it's earned.
Right.
But more and more, I think there's just a lack of awareness on the really amazing human beings that have built a career in the industry, and we got to give them that chance, right? We got to
Right.
listen to them, hear their story, and that's why we're doing this, so that they can
Hmm.
share their story. Um, so, you got a long road ahead of you. You've already done a lot of amazing things in your life, and so I'm wondering, what footprint do you intend to leave on the world, Miss Kate?
I've thought about this a lot, and I don't I don't know exactly how to put it in the right words, but I think the biggest thing I want to do is change that stigma. I want women in construction, I want women in the trades, I want women in operations. I want to make the industry a place that they feel safe to work,
Mm.
and that they feel like they're equals. I don't want having a woman on your team to be a diversity point. I want it to be the standard.
Ooh.
And I think I got really lucky because, last year when I was working with Keisha, I was also working with an amazing girl, Allie. And I mean, we were all on the same team. And it was the last thing that I expected when I got my internship, was that I was going to be working with two other girls in the office.
Mm.
And I mean, it was mind blowing to me, but I don't want it to be mind blowing for other people. I want girls to walk into an office where they're not the only one. And maybe where we can have, a female construction manager and a female superintendent on the same team running a job together. We can, pull a TCCI, build competition, all
Yes.
girl team in the real world. But I think I really just I want to change that stigma, especially for women, and really show them the possibilities, as well as showing high school students that you don't have to go to college, and that it's not that big a deal. And I feel like that's hard for me because I did go to college, but I always knew that maybe if I was better at trades or something, that I didn't have to go to college. I
Hmm.
could have had a very good, successful career in the trades. And I think that, that's just something that we don't push
Hmm.
for any high school student, unless they're able to be, in a cool trades high school program. But
Right.
I think we don't have enough of them. And, how do you spread that without having more high schools like that, and
Yeah.
without, I don't know, I mean, there's a lot of things that need to change, mostly stigma and stereotypes about the industry. But I think it's possible. I think things like TCCI and the build competition, schools like CCA, um, other high schools that take their their woodshop
Yep.
programs where, they talk about plumbing or they do a little bit. I mean, I know Mr. Burns, one of my favorite teachers from CCA, he had moved to a different high school, but is doing amazing things with their woodshop program.
Yeah.
And so, those students who didn't go to CCA, maybe didn't get in or didn't ever think it was an option for them, are in this woodshop class where they thought that they were going to build birdhouses, but now they're learning about plumbing or they're learning how to fix holes in the drywall. I mean, that was one of my favorite learning experiences, was when we did drywall on a wall and then we busted holes in it and then we fixed it. And
Yeah.
now every time I go to a friend's house and they've got a hole in their drywall, I'm like, don't worry, I'll fix it for you.
Nice.
Like, and I mean, it's simple, small things like that, but it's, being in the house that I just bought, I know how to fix stuff. I know how to, do the flooring. I don't have to pay somebody, which now that I'm doing it, I really wish I paid somebody to do it. But
Yeah.
but we're pushing through, and I know I'm saving money, and I think anybody that can learn anything, I mean, it helps you be a homeowner if you don't like it and you don't want it to be your career. I mean, you can fix stuff and not pay somebody to, flip the switch in your garbage disposal. I think that there are so many opportunities. I never really had family in construction, but my mom and my dad, I mean, they both kind of figured out how to do stuff themselves. Maybe because they're like me and they didn't want to ask for help, or maybe they just, didn't want to spend the money. My mom
Right.
has always been like that, where it was like, I don't have to pay for this because I can do it myself. Even if it's something that she's never done before, she's like, I can figure it out and I can do it myself. And I think that is, shout out mom, one of the
Oh yeah.
best, things that I was able to see growing up is like, okay, well, it's not that hard to fix your garbage disposal. It's not that hard to, regrout your shower or put down flooring. I mean, she did all the flooring in my parents' house. She redid their bathroom. I mean, it's you don't think about the construction industry, you don't think about the trades, but then you're redoing your own house and it's like, why not,
Yep. Yep. Yeah, those skills that we learn in the trades they can't take them away from you. You carry
Right.
them with you forever. Makes you more independent and gives you the opportunity to serve others for sure, like no doubt. Um, so I want to shout out a few folks. So was Mr. John Alvarez there when you were at
Mhm.
CCA?
Yep.
Did you hear that he got Educator of the Year?
I didn't, but congratulations.
Yeah, I saw it on Instagram the other day. It's like, that's so because I worked with
Mhm.
John way back in the day. We worked together at
Mhm.
TD. And to your point, the changing the perception of construction and trade professionals and the schools. Like, there's not enough programs, or we need more programs out there. Skilled Trades Alliance that I get to play with. They're working really, really hard to connect all the amazing programs nationally so that anybody that wants to, so that we can learn from each other, right? Like, if you want to start something, there's CCA that got something going on. And I know Miss Ackles is like, yeah, come on, we'll share everything that we're doing with you. Uh,
Mhm.
Employers that have internships, how did they do it? How did they get there? Like, sharing all of this knowledge so that we can accelerate um, access to amazing careers. And then TCCI, right? You talked about
Mhm.
the Texas Construction Careers Initiative. We're both on the planning committee. It's San Antonio thing. It's amazing. It helped me launch some amazing things. And then lastly, Steve Turner with Bring Back the Trades, who has been putting out a scholarship
Mhm.
every month, $1,000 scholarship for anybody, any age that is in a school or program that they're building their careers in the trades. They can apply for it. So there's this upswell. Christopher Branchley with Rock the Trades, who's also out there doing amazing stuff to highlight the magical stuff that's
Right.
going on out here.
Mhm.
And we'll get there. And then to your vision, I promise you, I'm going to be clipping what you said, and it is going to be a social media post of, you don't want women to be a diversity point. You
Mhm.
want it to be a standard. That's
Right.
powerful, Kate, and I'm behind you, girl. If I can help, you know, you got my number. I'll contribute in any way I possibly can. I know a bunch of people, so if we can get them together to help you in that effort, we will absolutely do that. And so we never really got Ricky the ribeye, uh,
Um,
but life seems to be pretty awesome for you.
I can afford a steak, so
Oh, I love it. Is there anything that you wanted to cover that we missed?
I don't think so. I mean, my biggest thing is my supportive parents. Love them
Yeah.
so much. I don't think that I would be, in the situation that I am if I didn't have their support.
Mm,
I'd probably be a nurse or a teacher or something that I don't like to do.
mm,
They really helped me without knowledge of construction. I mean, my dad, working, in his white collar job. Oh, which one's which? White collar or blue collar?
white collar. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Okay. Good. Okay. I mean, he's always been white collar, but when I told him, like, I think I want to do construction, it was never, no, you need to have, an office job. You need to, do that kind of thing. I mean, it was always supportive. And, again, getting to watch my mom kind of do stuff around the house that I never would have considered
Yep.
construction or trades, but getting to see it kind of relay into the stuff that, I'm doing and I'm working on and I'm seeing, I think, they really showed me that I can do it and that, anything I want to do, I can be successful in.
Mm, yes. So shout out, mom, dad. Thank you for nurturing such an amazing woman that is going to have profound impact on the industry. Did you have a good time, Miss Kate?
I did. I did. This was way easier than I thought. I think, you make it easy for sure. I can always talk to you. But this was good.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you giving us your time, and we'll do it again sometime.
I know. Well, I guess I'll see you every Thursday from now on
Yeah, yeah, we're going to
for
be
our
having a
meetings.
weekly
So,
meeting in
yep,
preparation for the big event. And so
yep.
everybody out there in the Omniverse, that go on, if you're on LinkedIn and Facebook, we have a TCCI account, Texas Construction Careers Initiative. And if you're not in the San Antonio area, it's okay. Follow us, support us. You're going to be seeing pictures coming up in preparation. You're going to be seeing pictures, some videos and stuff about the event. And if y'all are interested in starting your own thing, like, hit us up. We're
Mhm.
happy to spread the goodness.
Was that not powerful? I mean, that quote of, I don't want having a woman on your team to be a diversity thing. I want it to be the standard. Like, amen. I think with all of us, all the L&M family out there, we can actually make that happen. Shout out to all the amazing, glamorous, fierce, and powerful women that are out there in the industry laying the path. And Kate, thank you to you as well. We're going to give a shout out to L&M family member, Mr. Armando Tunales, who is from Dallas, and I've had the privilege of meeting face to face. I'm going to cheat a little bit because this quote comes from a post on LinkedIn that was on Jennifer Lacey's profile. Jennifer Lacey, the famous lady, and Armando is also part of the No BS tribe. So whenever y'all get a chance, check us out. Every other Saturday, we're live streaming on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube, and we're talking about some really vulnerable, meaningful stuff. Careful, because hashtag allergies. It's going to happen. Your eyes may water up a bit. And we all know the No BS tribe, everyone knows, thanks to Buddy, that it's a function of allergies. We're not crying. Our eyes are sweating because of the allergies. And so here we go for Mr. Armando. He says, him being a bud has helped me to be a bud that is aspiring to blossom as he has. And he was talking about me. So, of course, that made me smile, a big smile. The bud that he's talking about is reference to the post that Jennifer put up that was talking about the risk and the pain about sprouting beyond where we currently are, and recognizing that we all impact each other and give each other courage to bud and sprout. So that's the end of it. We'll see y'all again soon. Peace.
Man, you are one dedicated listener, sticking with us all the way through to the very, very end. Please know that this podcast dies without you, and we invite you to share how the episode's impacting you, along with your thoughts, questions, and suggestions. You've been gracious with your time, so we added social media links in the show notes to make it super easy for you to connect with us. Be kind to yourself, stay cool, and we'll talk at you next time.